A woman who once owned skyscrapers now stood in a janitor's closet, trembling, not because she was afraid, but because the man sweeping the hallway had just said one sentence that shattered her entire world and rebuilt it in the same breath. She didn't know his name. She didn't know his story. But in the next few seconds, this single dad janitor would change everything she believed about life, success, and herself. Her downfall began months ago. But her rise started right here. When Adrian Cole, the night shift janitor, first saw Elena Hart, he didn't realize she was the former CEO who once graced magazine covers. To him, she was just a tired woman sitting alone in the dim hallway at 2 a.m., staring at her trembling hands like they no longer belonged to her. Elena had lost her empire in a single week, betrayed by her board, manipulated by her business partner, and crushed by a scandal engineered to destroy her. Everything she built for 12 years vanished. Her penthouse, her company, her status gone. She'd been too proud to tell anyone. Too ashamed to ask for help, but tonight, she finally broke. Adrian pushed his cleaning cart slowly, careful not to wake the office workers sleeping inside their cubicles. He stopped when he noticed her red eyes. "Rough night?" he asked softly. Elena almost laughed. "That's one way to put it." Adrian didn't pry. He simply offered her a bottle of water and sat a few feet away, polite and quiet. She wasn't used to kindness without a motive. It scared her more than losing her company. She asked, "Why are you working this late?" "I always work this late," he said. "My daughter's asleep at home. Nights are easier." Something about the warmth in his voice when he mentioned his daughter softened Elena's chest. Minutes passed. Silence felt strangely safe. Then, almost whispering, she said, "I used to work in this building, on the top floor." Adrian smiled gently. "Funny. Most people only look up. Hardly anyone remembers there's a bottom floor too." His words stung, not because they were harsh, but because they were true. For years, Elena hadn't seen anyone below her corporate level. She didn't even know the names of the janitors who cleaned her office. She'd lived in a world built on titles, and now she didn't have one. Adrian stood to leave, but Elena grabbed his sleeve, surprising herself. "Tell me something," she said. "Do you ever start over?" Adrian looked into her defeated eyes. "Every day," he said. "Life doesn't give me options. Only chances. I take the ones I can." For the first time in months, Elena exhaled without pain. She didn't know it yet, but this man was about to change her life in a way no CEO, lawyer, or millionaire ever could. The next night, Elena came back to the same hallway, unsure why. Adrian was mopping the floor, humming a lullaby. She sat quietly until he finished. He joined her on the bench. "Rough night again?" "Rough life," she corrected slowly, piece by piece. She told him everything: her company, the betrayal, the humiliation, the accusations she couldn't fight because she no longer had any power. She expected him to judge her. He didn't. Instead, he asked, "What do you want now?" "Not the world. Not the board. Not the people who hurt you. You." No one had asked her that in years. Her voice broke. "I want to feel like I matter again." Adrian leaned his elbows on his knees. "You do. You just forgot." Those words hit deeper than any business lesson she'd ever learned. Then came the moment that changed her life in seconds. Adrian handed her a small, folded paper. "This helped me when my wife passed. Maybe it will help you." Inside was a childish drawing, crayon lines, crooked hearts, and a stick figure holding hands with a little girl. At the top, written in messy handwriting, "Daddy, you don't need a big job to be my hero." Elena covered her mouth as tears spilled down her cheeks. This saved you," she whispered. "It reminded me that I wasn't defined by what I lost," he said. "Only by what I became after." In those seconds, Elena's entire world shifted. For the first time since her empire collapsed, she felt hope, not from wealth, not from success, but from the quiet strength of a janitor who had survived far worse with far less. "Adrian," she breathed, "I want to rebuild. But I don't know how." He smiled. "One floor at a time. Start at the bottom. That's where real foundations are built." Over the next weeks, he helped her piece her life together. He introduced her to people who didn't care about titles. He reminded her to eat, to sleep, to breathe. He taught her that value wasn't measured in skyscrapers, but in mornings you choose to keep going. Months later, Elena launched a new company, not for profit, but to help those who had been overlooked: nights workers, janitors, single parents, underpaid staff. She hired Adrian as her operations advisor. Not because he needed charity, because his wisdom had rebuilt her from ashes. And on the day they opened their first office, she whispered to him, "You didn't just change my life. You returned it." Adrian looked at her with humble pride. "That wasn't me," he said. "That was you choosing to rise." But she knew the truth. It all began the night a single dad janitor handed her a crayon drawing and reminded her she was still worth something, and she never forgot it.